What we did is we flirted with each other for 30 years, and it was much more electric. If she thinks it, she says it. You know what's on her mind. But she's a wonderful girl.
When a music legend passes away, the stories that come to light can change everything we thought we knew about them. After Kenny Rogers died, Dolly Parton shocked fans by revealing sides of him that few ever saw. Was it admiration, regret, or something far more complicated?
Well, I couldn't believe it this morning when I got up and turned on the TV, checking to see what the coronavirus was doing. And they told me that my friend and singing partner, Kenny Rogers, had passed away.
The emotional truth behind their iconic partnership is more revealing than anyone expected, challenging the public's perception of their legendary friendship. Their bond was celebrated for decades, producing timeless hits that defined country music. Yet beneath the music and smiles, Dolly's reflections after Kenny's death shed light on untold struggles and candid moments. The heart of their friendship. Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers shared a friendship that blossomed over decades, one rooted not only in their shared love of music, but in deep mutual respect. Their connection began during the height of their careers, when both were defining figures in country music's evolution. Unlike typical celebrity friendships marked by surface-level interactions, Dolly and Kenny's bond was often described as genuine and heartfelt, forged through countless collaborations and personal moments behind the scenes. Fans saw their chemistry on stage and in studio recordings, but the layers of their relationship ran much deeper than public performances suggested. Their friendship was characterized by a blend of professional admiration and personal warmth. Dolly has spoken candidly about Kenny's kindness, his generous spirit, and how he often served as a source of comfort during difficult phases in her life. They supported one another beyond the spotlight, exchanging encouragement during career changes, health scares, and personal trials. This foundation of trust was what made their professional partnership so powerful. They weren't just duet partners, but companions who shared life's ups and downs. Yet, as close as they seemed, hints appeared over the years that their relationship was not without complexity. Both were star personalities with strong creative visions, and that sometimes led to subtle tensions not visible to the public eye. Dolly's recent revelations after Kenny's death bring this complexity into sharper focus, suggesting that their friendship contained layers of honesty and vulnerability, rarely seen by their fans. These nuances add new dimensions to how we understand their lives together. At its core, their friendship was a tapestry woven of shared successes and challenges, laughter and unspoken moments. Kenny's passing became a catalyst for Dolly to reflect openly on what their bond really meant beyond the music charts and awards. She acknowledged the imperfections that came with any long-lasting relationship, moments of frustration alongside fierce loyalty. This honest appraisal allows us to appreciate the true depth of their connection, far from the polished shape of public myth. The peculiarities of their friendship might have been their capacity to be authentic still while managing the fame. Both Dolly and Kenny took their own ways of being, where Dolly's vibrant character was at odds with Kenny's calm and measured tone. They were different, or perhaps it was exactly that, but they perfectly matched one another, developing an artistic cooperation that pulled both of them up. This equilibrium was in their personal friendship as well, which was marked by quiet support and independence. This complex interaction very often showed itself in their creativity. The vocal parts and songs that they picked up were their very friendship's sensitivity and understanding. Each of the hits, like Islands in the Stream, presented the same story of cooperation, trust, and inspiration. Such instances laid bare the emotional bond of their union, which was above and beyond mere professional collaboration. On the other hand, even the strongest of friendships have their own dark sides, and Dolly's recent comments imply that there were aspects of Kenny she didn't reveal until his death. These open comments remind us that even the stars have lives that are not only complicated, but also full of private hardships and unuttered truths. The mixture of love and honesty is the one that makes people both like and take an interest in their tale. As the layers start to come off, one can see that their friendship was not merely that of musicians and public figures. It was a genuine human relationship that got molded by time, circumstances, and the peculiar problems of their world. The richness of this complexity adds to the legacy that they leave behind and also sets the ground for more profound disclosures. Their story moves beyond legend into something far more textured, inviting us to reconsider what it means to be close to a star like Kenny Rogers through the eyes of Dolly Parton. The roots of their partnership were planted long ago, nurtured by shared early career struggles and undeniable chemistry that captivated audiences worldwide. Early collaborations and chemistry. Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers first joined voices during a period when both were carving out their space in the competitive world of country music. Their early collaborations combined Dolly's vivacious energy with Kenny's smooth, soulful phrasing, creating a sound that felt fresh yet deeply rooted in tradition. This synergy quickly caught attention, making their duets not just radio staples, but cultural moments that crossed genre boundaries. Their first big hit together, Islands in the Stream, released in 1983, became a defining moment for both artists and for country pop in general. Written by the Bee Gees, the song's catchy melody and heartfelt lyrics were magnified by their flawless vocal interplay. Beyond the technical brilliance, the emotional authenticity they brought made listeners believe in the story of romantic connection and mutual support. This song's success cemented the idea that their voices belonged together and sparked a series of collaborations. Fans and critics alike marveled at the way their styles meshed. Dolly's spirited, sometimes playful delivery contrasted beautifully with Kenny's laid-back, warm tone. This balance created a compelling dynamic that was both intimate and accessible, appealing to a wide audience. Their chemistry was so palpable that it blurred the lines between staged performances and genuine personal connection, fueling speculation about their off-stage relationship. Their performances often showcased a natural ease, suggesting years of friendship and trust behind the microphones. Music videos, interviews, and concert footage revealed moments of laughter, shared glances, and mutual respect that added layers of meaning to their songs. Many believed that this closeness was a key ingredient behind the enduring appeal of their duets. The hits were only part of the story, and the group's willingness to experiment with new sounds was one of the main factors that led to their enduring influence. They did not shun any themes or styles, and in fact, sometimes went so far as to cross the country's traditional limits by adopting pop, soul, and even gospel influences. This broad-mindedness was not only a reflection of their constant desire to change as artists, but also a way of loving their roots, a path that fans were more than willing to follow. Their early team-ups were also a symbol of love in an industry characterized by rivalries and fierce competition. The partnership of Dolly and Kenny was a clear reminder that mutual success is possible if you keep your individuality. Their synergy encouraged other artists to undertake similarly collaborative projects, thus changing the whole scenario of country music duets. But even though their artistic chemistry was very strong, the personal interaction showed that there were frictional points under the surface from time to time. Both of them were strong characters and very protective of their careers. Thus, the talks between them regarding creative control sometimes caused tension. These difficulties, although not as smoky as their success, hinted at a more complex relationship than the public saw. Still, the early collaborations that created the bond between them laid a foundation that neither would be able to ignore, even when the pressures came along, which would eventually test their friendship. The music they brought forth together is, in fact, a living proof of how strong human connections are and of the magic that occurs when two different artists combine their talents. With the growth of their professional distinctiveness, the situations of handling the public's adoration and personal ambition also quietly started to take their toll on their relationship in ways that most never regarded as possible. Behind the spotlight, tensions and challenges simmered, hidden struggles that would shape the true story of their bond. Behind the scenes, challenges. While Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers projected warmth and harmony on stage, the reality behind the curtains was sometimes fraught with challenges and unspoken tensions. Both were established stars with decades of experience, yet their personalities, ambitions, and personal lives occasionally clashed. Navigating these differences required patience and compromise, but it also exposed fault lines in their relationship that rarely made headlines. One source of strain was their differing working styles. Dolly, known for her meticulous preparation and effervescent persona, often approached projects with an intense creative drive. Kenny was more laid back, sometimes preferring spontaneity and trusting instinct over detailed planning. These contrasts could lead to disagreements about song choices, production decisions, or performance approaches, stirring frustration on both sides. Their busy schedules and individual commitments added further complications. Touring separately, managing family responsibilities, and pursuing solo projects meant they spent significant time apart. This distance occasionally resulted in misunderstandings or feelings of neglect, testing the resilience of their friendship. The pressures of balancing personal and professional demands proved challenging for both. Industry expectations also played a role in straining their bond. As two of country music's most prominent figures, they faced intense media scrutiny, invitations to rivalry narratives, and the constant pressure to maintain perfect public images. Dolly and Kenny had to navigate these external forces while preserving their personal connection, a balancing act that was far from easy. The partnership of the two musicians was occasionally marred with financial and contractual disagreements, thereby exposing the less glamorous aspect of their partnership. The negotiation process, dealing with royalties, management decisions, and the ownership of the joint work could be quite cumbersome and heated at times. However, the public knew nothing about the issues, while the insiders claimed money problems still occasionally brought mistrust into their relationship. The health situation was another contributing factor. Kenny Rogers had to deal with health problems in his final years, which greatly affected his energy and, thus, his availability. Dolly saw his struggles and the impact on both his professional life and their relationship. The times made her more compassionate towards the man, but they also brought difficult feelings into their partnership. However, through it all, respect remained. Neither of them let the disagreements completely eclipse the love and admiration that they had for one another. Rather, they made a joint effort to support one another in the hard times, which indicates a very complicated but still lasting bond. This conflict and connection duality humanizes their tale far beyond the idealized image that many held. Dolly's revelations after Kenny's passing shed light on the fact that these confrontations were just a small piece of a much bigger puzzle, a scenario in which honesty and vulnerability eventually triumphed over being perfect from a distance. This new viewpoint encourages the fans to perceive them as ordinary beings going through life's intricate web of relationships, friendship, and fame alongside their struggle for acceptance. By comprehending these behind-the-scenes details, it becomes clearer why Dolly's posthumous remarks on Kenny resonated so much, as they depicted a bond that was simultaneously very loving and very honest. Knowing the depths of their challenges gives new meaning to Dolly's words after Kenny's passing, setting the stage for the revelations that followed. Dolly's candid comments after his death. After Kenny Rogers passed away in 2020, Dolly Parton broke her usual reserve to share reflections that surprised many fans and insiders alike. In interviews and tributes, she painted a complex portrait of Kenny, one that blended affection with raw honesty. Rather than simply celebrating his successes, Dolly opened up about moments where their relationship was tested, revealing sides of Kenny she hadn't publicly discussed before. Her comments struck a chord because they conveyed vulnerability and depth that few expected. Dolly acknowledged that behind Kenny's charming public image lay insecurities and struggles, some of which impacted their interactions. She spoke of his difficulties with decision-making during critical moments and candidly addressed times when he could be stubborn or distant. These admissions were not meant to criticize, but to humanize a star often idealized by the media. By sharing these experiences, Dolly invited fans to see the real Kenny Rogers, the man behind the legend. In recounting their history, Dolly expressed both gratitude and sorrow, highlighting how their friendship weathered many storms. She revealed that despite occasional frustrations or disagreements, Kenny's loyalty and kindness remained constants in their lives. Their bond was imperfect but steadfast, shaped by years of mutual respect and shared hardships. This nuanced portrayal broke from the perfect friendship narrative, offering a more relatable and genuine story. Parton also touched on Kenny's generosity, recounting personal favors and quiet acts of kindness that never made headlines. She praised his heart and how he supported her during personal and professional challenges. These anecdotes balanced her more difficult revelations, showing a man deeply caring even when struggling with his own demons. It was a reminder that complexity often exists alongside goodness. There were times when Dolly's tone brought up the question of unresolved feelings, regrets regarding missed chances to better connect, or to tell one's feelings more openly. It suggested that the two of them had moments that were not spoken, and her reflections became both a tribute and an attempt at closure. The fans could feel a longing in her words, a wish to reveal even a bigger part of the picture, despite the fact that Kenny was gone. The boldness of these disclosures caught the observers off guard, considering Dolly's usual diplomatic approach to her contemporaries. Her forthrightness finally got to the point of Kenny's impact upon her life, and there was no doubt about the strength of their bond. It seemed to her that the truth would be more powerful in honoring him than the empty phrases. Her disclosures were received with different opinions among the listeners, but they were mainly appreciative. Some, who were part of the audience, praised Dolly for her courage and genuineness, and they were the ones who saw the beauty of fame and friendship less as the reality that was there behind, and more as the light that was shed upon it. The critics granted that this honesty did challenge the Saints' pictures, but, at the same time, they concluded that it gave a new dimension to the understanding of the two artists by the public. Dolly's open, yet at the same time dolorous, recollections turned into a good opportunity for fans, as well as the industry insiders, not only to contemplate Kenny's inheritance, but also the whole concept of the long-term relationships in the stressful and always scrutinized world of showbiz. They pointed out how the stars' lives and legacies were often shaped by their struggles in public, commingled with their triumphs. Navigating the thin line between celebrity and person, Dolly and Kenny faced pressures that affected how they saw each other and themselves. The impact of fame on their relationship. Fame provided Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers with opportunities and rewards that few experience, but it also introduced unique challenges that tested their friendship over time. As global country music icons, the glare of the spotlight magnified every interaction, shaping how they related both publicly and privately. The constant attention put immense pressure on them to maintain their images, sometimes forcing compromises and guarded behaviors that distanced them emotionally. Their individual superstar statuses complicated their dynamic. Both were used to commanding the stage and making decisions independently, which occasionally led to clashes when collaborating. Navigating joint projects under public scrutiny required them to balance assertiveness with cooperation, a difficult act when their artistic visions or personalities diverged. Fame amplified these tensions as missteps were magnified in headlines and gossip. The demands of their careers also meant long periods apart. Touring schedules, recording sessions, and promotional commitments rarely synced, creating physical and emotional distance. This separation made maintaining the closeness needed for a strong friendship and fruitful collaboration more difficult. Loneliness and miscommunication sometimes crept in, testing their resolve to stay connected. The media played a complicated role as well. Reporters and critics often framed Dolly and Kenny's relationship within sensationalism, speculating about rivalries, romances, or falling outs. This external narrative created pressure to conform to public expectations or defend perceived slights, which could strain trust and authenticity. They had to protect each other while managing their own reputations in a highly competitive industry. In public all the time, the stress behind the scenes might make people feel more insecure about themselves. Kenny was said to have a fear of failure and anxiety, even though he was a superstar. Dolly's insight into his weak areas revealed that he had been in doubt about himself, even with fame. Such a situation of the artists, albeit in different ways, had an impact on their communications and support, thereby making their bond more complex. The financial aspects and the duration of the career added another dimension. The two musicians had to be more careful, not only for their legacies and incomes, but also for little things like negotiations over royalties, rights, and management being very intense behind the scenes. Though the negotiations were done with a professional approach, sometimes the emotional energy that had been used could have gone into building personal relationships instead. Still, the pressures of fame were a factor in their friendship, for they got to experience it differently. Empathy and mutual support were made possible by the shared experiences of the celebrities' lives. They realized how isolating stardom was, and at times one would give the other support when public attention was too much. This very understanding became the secret language that they had, thus strengthening the bond. Understanding the impact of fame on their bond helps explain why Kenny's private struggles, revealed by Dolly, added new layers to their story. Kenny Rogers' personal struggles revealed. Behind the smooth voice and charming smile, Kenny Rogers wrestled with personal challenges that shaped his life in profound, often hidden ways. Dolly Parton's reflections after his passing shed light on hardships that weren't part of the public narrative. She described moments when Kenny struggled with self-doubt and uncertainty, feelings that contrasted sharply with his confident stage persona. These vulnerabilities humanized him, making clear that fame did not shield him from pain or insecurity. Rogers faced ongoing battles with health issues that affected his energy, especially later in life. Complications from diabetes and other ailments sometimes slowed him down and altered his outlook. Dolly witnessed these changes up close and recognized the toll it took not only physically but emotionally. His health struggles added a layer of complexity to their interactions and to his broader sense of self as both artist and man. Mental and emotional challenges also played a role. Kenny reportedly grappled with anxiety and the fear of not living up to expectations as his career evolved. Dolly's candid comments hinted that, despite his success, he sometimes questioned his decisions and felt the weight of public scrutiny keenly. This internal tension was a constant companion behind the scenes and influenced how he related to others, including Dolly. Addictions and coping mechanisms occasionally surfaced in Rogers's life, though he was discreet about these battles publicly. Dolly's insights suggest that Kenny's temperament could be moody or withdrawn during difficult periods, reflecting the pressure cooker environment of the music industry. Understanding these aspects helps explain some of the strains in their friendship and the moments when their bond was tested. Kenny's life was influenced by financial rhythms. He was able to claim the high ground in terms of sales, but had to cope with the difficulties of estate management and making sound financial decisions, most of which were prevalent during the last days of his life. Dolly's knowledge of his hardships made her sympathize more with him, thus proving that fame and wealth do not necessarily assure stability. The burden of wealth and legacy was too much for him to bear. Allowing these hardships to sunder Kenny's resolve, he insisted on performing and befriending his audiences. His toughness was the main reason for his popularity among the crowds, and Dolly appreciated that quality in him. She remembered the time when he faced difficulties, yet he still managed to show off his talent and commitment to the art with grace. This stamina characterized not only his career, but also his personal life. Rogers had very close family ties, which proved to be a source of both comfort and challenge. Caring for his family while being in the spotlight was always a difficult task, but Dolly gave him credit for the way he handled it. The conflict between public life and private duties was a constant in his story. As the public learned more about the challenges Kenny faced privately, reactions rippled through fans and the wider music community. Reactions from fans and the music community. Dolly Parton's candid disclosures about Kenny Rogers sparked a wave of reactions that revealed just how deeply connected people felt to both artists. Fans responded with a mix of admiration, surprise, and gratitude for her honesty. Many appreciated the glimpse behind the curtain, recognizing that these reflections made Kenny's story more accessible and genuine. Social media buzzed with tributes that echoed Dolly's sentiments, blending celebration with empathy. Musicians and industry insiders weighed in, highlighting the bravery it took for Dolly to share such personal insights. Colleagues expressed respect not only for Kenny's impact on country music, but also for the complexity of his humanity now more fully revealed. Several artists echoed the notion that fame often masks personal struggles, and Dolly's comments helped foster a more compassionate view toward all performers. The music press debated the line between honoring legacy and exposing intimate details. While most praised Dolly's openness, some questioned whether airing private moments posthumously could affect Kenny's memory. Yet the majority consensus leaned toward valuing transparency, viewing it as a force for destigmatizing the hidden hardships that many public figures endure. Fans especially connected with the themes of friendship, vulnerability, and perseverance. Stories circulated that linked personal experiences with illness, anxiety, or complicated relationships to Kenny's journey, creating a shared space for healing and remembrance. The public's embrace of Dolly's revelations demonstrated a hunger for authenticity in celebrity narratives. Tributes came from all over the world of music genres, which indicated Kenny's great influence and the impact of Dolly's words. Country stars, pop singers, and even filmmakers got the message. Their alliance was still powerful and even taught the world through their life stories. The acceptance from different ages proved again how their music was never old-fashioned, and their existence was not limited to just the entertainment industry. Some of the old fans started to go back to the singles of the duo, hearing them with a new appreciation, giving them fresh ears to the lyrics and performances that now had a new meaning. The whole idea of their personal problems made songs like Islands in the Stream even more poignant. The reunion of musical enjoyment and human story was a great enhancement to the audience's connection. Moreover, the talk also raised the issues of mental health, substance abuse, and the dark side of fame in the fan circles. Dolly's truthfulness was perceived as a fundamental factor in the raising of issues and the granting of compassion that stressed that every star has a complex side to them that deserves kindness. This change has led to more open conversations around the once taboo subjects. Honesty, even after loss, reshapes how we honor those who have touched our lives, deepening bonds one revelation at a time. Legacy and lessons learned. The candid reflections Dolly Parton shared after Kenny Rogers' death have deepened the public's understanding of both artists as complex, real people rather than distant legends. This unvarnished glimpse into their friendship and personal struggles adds richness to their enduring legacy. It reminds us that behind timeless music and fame, the artists faced challenges that shaped their journeys in profound ways. Their story encourages fans to appreciate not just the hits, but the humanity that underlies creative brilliance. Their partnership exemplifies how collaboration can transcend individual success, blending distinct personalities into a shared artistic vision. Dolly and Kenny's ability to harmonize, both musically and personally, teaches us about the power of mutual respect and vulnerability. It's a reminder that great partnerships thrive on honesty, compromise, and deep understanding, even amid complexities. This dynamic continues to inspire musicians and fans alike. The revelations also shed light on the importance of authenticity in maintaining long-term relationships within the pressures of fame. Dolly's openness about their imperfections helps dismantle the myth of flawless celebrity friendships. Instead, it paints a portrait of resilience and grace under strain, illustrating that real connections involve patience, forgiveness, and evolving trust. Their friendship stands as a testament to navigating public life without losing personal truth. Kenny Rogers' personal struggles, brought to light through Dolly's words, invite a broader conversation about mental health and vulnerability in the entertainment industry. Their story challenges the stigma surrounding emotional struggles by placing them within the context of success and artistry. This legacy encourages a culture of empathy and support for artists balancing public expectations and private realities. Their collaborations remain timeless, evoking the joy, passion, and complexity of their bond. Hits like Islands in the Stream are now heard not only as catchy duets, but as echoes of a deeper emotional connection. This layering of artistry and authenticity enriches the listening experience and cements their place in music history as icons who brought both talent and heart to their work. The lessons that they derived from their relationship can also be applied to other fields beyond music. They portray issues people would notice everywhere: managing friendship through transition, being there for someone who is going through a tough time, and accepting flaws as part of the bond among people who are close to each other. They have a story that tells us that even those who are very famous go through the same human problems and thus closeness through vulnerability. Kenny's death made Dolly Parton's exceptionally brave decision to reveal these truths all the more meaningful and brought about a new company's attitude of speaking their mind honestly. This trend of transparency may prevent the emerging artists from feeling the same way as the previous ones did. The impact is not limited to music, but it may gradually change the way society looks at celebrities, friendship, and mental health. Looking back at their lives and careers, it is undeniable that Dolly and Kenny were not only professional partners, but also very good friends. Their friendship was so complex and yet so loyal and loving that it marked a marriage of artist and audience in a captivating way. This story adds to how they are remembered, revealing that often the most significant narratives are the ones hidden beneath the veil of fame. Today, we uncovered the deeper truths behind Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers' legendary bond, revealing a friendship filled with complexity and candid moments. Their story reminds us that even icons face real struggles and that honesty is a powerful legacy. If you found this exploration inspiring, please like the video and subscribe for more stories that go beyond the surface. Thanks for watching.